Hi everyone, this is a Valentine's Day collaboration. So do be sure to check out the other videos in the collaboration, which you can see on screen now and also in the description box below. Let's get started. So in this video, we're going to make a little birdhouse. Now, I've got some cutters to help me with this, but you can just cut out the shapes freehand if you like. I'm going to make it in modelling paste because it's going to set nice and hard for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by cutting out some shapes. So I'm going to want 2 of these for either end of our little birdhouse, and we need 2 of these for the sides, 2 of these for the roof, and then I can use an extra one of these for a base, or if you prefer you can cut out a round one for the base. Now I'm going to do my birdhouse in white, but then I'll dust a little bit of colour onto it. So I'm going to cut my first side, which will be the front of my house. So pull that off like that. Now if you've got any jaggedy edges, just give them a rub down with your fingers. So we're going to create a bit of a wood effect, and I've just got a ruler that I'm just going to put lines in with. So I'm just going to gently press in like that, not too hard, otherwise you'll cut right through. So we'll just put a couple of these in either side like that. Just make sure they're deep enough that you can see them. And what we're going to do now is cut out the little window or door for our birdhouse. I've got a little heart-shaped cutter for mine. But if you prefer, you can use a round cutter instead. I just thought it looked more like a little Lovebird's nest if I used a little heart. So what I'm going to do is I'll just put this on my other board to dry, and we'll cut out the others. So back of the house, just put a couple of little lines in again, and put that one to the side to dry. And we want 2 of these. Again, putting little lines in for your woodwork into the side pieces of your birdhouse. So we've got our first 4 pieces now cut for our birdhouse. What I'm going to do is add a little bit of colour to them with some of my petal dusts. So they come in boxes like this, and I'm just going to use a brown one. So I'm going to just take in a dry brush some colour from the edges upwards onto my birdhouse. I'm using brown for this one, but you can use any colour you want. I have done another one and I'd used pink on the other one. And then I'm going to do some that kind of comes down from the heart, making it a little bit darker just around the edges of your heart. And what I'll do is I will put links in the description box below the video saying where I've got all the tools and equipment from that I've been using. So paying most attention to like the edges of the front of your birdhouse. And we're going to do that on all the other pieces. Okay, so when they're all dusted up, we'll leave those to the side to be drying, and we'll cut the pieces for the roof. I'm going to cut 2 roof pieces in the turquoise. So we're just going to cut 1 more of these now in white, and then we'll dust it up again with colour, and that'll be the base for our little birdhouse. So far we've got these pieces cut. We're going to leave these to dry, and I'm going to leave them overnight so that they set nice and hard. Now I've got a 5-inch cake drum that's about ½ an inch thick. You want to have a bit of depth to it to hold up our little birdhouse. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to poke a hole about the middle. So you want something with a reasonably sharp point for us to go through, and I'll put it on some foam and we'll just push it in. I'll just widen it a little bit, not too much because we don't want our kebab skewer to come out. And I'll take off any little bits from underneath, and we've just got a small piece of a kebab skewer. And of course you can use a wooden dowel or anything else that you think will be suitable. I've just chosen this because it's not too thick and I wanted to keep it reasonably slim. Now I've rolled out some fondant to go on my board. So I'm taking a bit of water, and we're just going to put that on our cake board. You can use edible glue if you prefer. And I'll slot that over there. Now I've kept mine quite thick, just so that I know I've got extra support around my little pillar in the middle. Give it a little smooth. You can use a smoother if you like. I'm just going to use my hands for this, just with it being quite small. And just taking a sharp knife, we're going to trim around the edges. So I've got a bit of a pale turquoisey green here, and we're just going to cut out a circle using my little plastic cutter, and I'm going to use the frilled edge or the scalloped edge. Just going to put a little bit more water around that base in the middle so that this sticks in place, and then carefully push that on, trying to get it as central as you can, and then give it a bit of a push down. So once you've done that, I'll just take the handle of my small paintbrush that I'm using to just push a little indentation in each of these bits. So back to our modelling paste, because we want this next bit to be nice and firm. And we're just going to roll so it's tall enough to come to the top of our little stick. Roll it just a little bit thinner. And I'm going to put a wood print on with my little textured board. You can draw it in by hand if you prefer. Okay. And we'll trim the bottom so we've got a nice straight line. And what I'm going to do is put a bit of water on the back of there. And I'm going to wrap it now around my little post. And then just trim it down here where it meets the other bit. If it's easier, you can use scissors. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim a small amount from around the top of the stick, like so. This can be drying while the pieces of our birdhouse are drying as well. So these ones are the same pieces, only in a different colour, and these ones are made yesterday, so they've had time now to set quite hard. And what we need to do is build these together now into our little birdhouse. So these are our side pieces for our birdhouse, which we'll need to stick onto here, like this. Now, I was going to use royal icing to stick these in place, but I've decided that since you can't really see on the inside of the birdhouse, I'm just going to mix my modelling paste with water to create like a glue. So we're going to mix this with water. I've just dunked the water on it, and then I'm going to give it a knead and it'll become quite sticky and tacky. And what I'll do is put a little bit of water on the edge of that as well, and both edges. And you'll see it's really sticky. So I'm rolling a piece to go down across there. Just make sure there is plenty of water on it. And I'm just going to firmly push that then onto the side piece. And you just need to make sure that it is staying upright. If it's not, we'll just need to lean it against something. So I've got a little food colouring pot there to hold that in place. And we'll do the same with the other side. And then our last piece will go on the top like this. So this one's going to be more difficult to get into now. So what I'll do is I'll put icing down here and here. And then when I put that on, I'll have to stick my fingers inside the house and give it a little push. And then we'll need to leave that to dry. So if you prefer to use royal icing for this, you are very welcome to. I just didn't have any to hand. Although I will probably make some for a little bit later in the video. In fact, I've decided that we're going to stand it up to dry. It seems to be standing okay without any problems there. Yeah, so from the front that looks quite nice. So I've got my two roof panels and I'm going to stick these on the same way that I stuck the rest of the birdhouse together. And what I want now is a bit of a turquoisey colour. I'm going to roll this out and I'm going to take a round cutter like that. And then I'm going to take a smaller round cutter and use the straight edge. Try and get it as central as I can. Okay. And what we'll do is we'll cut that and then we can pull it into a straight line. What I'm going to do is just measure this and put it in place on the edge of our birdhouse. So I want it to come from the middle bit to here. I'm going to put a little bit of water on the back of that to stick it in place, and we'll push that from the centre down. And we'll do the same with the other side. If you want to add more detail to it, you can always add tiny little holes to each of these. Again, you can do these before you add it if you prefer. So I'm going to put this to one side again. This is the same as the one we've just made, only this one's had overnight to set nice and hard, and I've just added a little ribbon to mine. You can do the ribbon bit at the end, I just got a bit carried away. What we're going to do now is add a piece to the top of here. You'll see it's got a smaller piece on it, so you can use round or you can use rectangle. For this one, all you do to make it like this one, we'll just cut, again, some modelling paste. And I'm going to just poke in a little hole in the centre with my paintbrush that hopefully will thread onto your little stick on the top there. Now I've got a few cracks in the back, but don't worry too much because that's going to be covered. So we'll stick that in the centre, just making sure that hole is open. So that is what I've done for this one. So what I'm going to do is I've mixed a little bit of modelling paste with water again to make like a sticky tacky glue. You can stick it on a modelling tool rather than your fingers like what I have done. So I filled that within the hole and we're going to push that then onto the top of the little bit of your stick that we've left exposed. Try and make sure when it's on that it's pretty level. Otherwise when we add the house, our house is going to be on a tilt And just make sure if there is any of the modelling paste squidged underneath that you can see, that you just neaten that up a little bit. So I'm going to let that one set like that overnight before we add the birdhouse to the top. So back to my birdhouse, we're going to neaten up the seam up here. So we're just going to do exactly the same as we did here. And all we're going to do is stick it in this little gap here. So we'll just push that into there like so. And then we'll just create a little love heart for the front. So we're just using a little heart cutter for that. Now we'll just stick that up there in the top corner. And what I'll do is I'll make some little steps for the front of my birdhouse. So I'm going to use 3 sizes of round cutters. So we're back to our white modelling paste, and I'm just going to roll this out. I'm going to cut one of each size. So we're going to put a bit of water now between them and just stack these up. And what we're going to do is cut these now in half. And these are going to become our steps for our front door. So I've pushed my steps against the front of my house. It's a bit messy underneath because I've just used a bit of modelling paste with a bit of water to stick it on, and I've let this start to set a little bit. So I'll just dust a bit of colour onto my steps. So my stand has now dried. If you want, you can brush a little bit of colour onto this. I'll leave that entirely up to you. And all we're going to do is just stick this onto the stand. The steps will stick out the front a little bit, but just make sure the majority is on your little base. And of course, if you've used a square one, we'll just stick it on the square base. And I'll put a picture up of it finished so you can see what it looks like. And then you can always add little lovebirds to it if you want. I have done a quick video showing how I've made a couple of little lovebirds. Do be sure to check out the other videos in this collaboration. These are on screen now or in the description box below the video. Thanks for watching.
If you liked this video and would like to see more, please click on the images of the other videos suggested. Also, please do subscribe to my channel using the button at the bottom right hand corner of the screen. You can also visit my cake website and my Facebook page to see more cakes and ideas.